We're with Jim Skull, and of course around Rapid City and the Black Hills, everybody knows Jim from Skull Construction. And Jim, thank you for joining us here on Black Hills TV.
You bet. My pleasure.
We want to talk about the South Dakota Youth Hunting Adventures. That's a program you started.
Yes, it is. Yep. About 13 years ago, we started that program. It's interesting how it started. My neighbor, I have a ranch out on the Belfast River, and my neighbor called me one day, Pat Trask, and he invited me over, and he says, Jim, I got an idea. We need to take kids hunting. Kids that otherwise wouldn't get the opportunity to do that. And I said, well, that's a great idea, Pat. How the heck do you do it? You know, how do you get the kids? How do you get them out there? But from that, you know, and he was interesting. He says, I'm a rancher. You're a town guy. You can get this done. So I'll help you in ever how I can, but why don't you see about the school district be interested, da-da-da-da. And so I said, well, okay, Pat, I'll ask a few questions of conservation groups that I'm engaged in and see if I can pull something together, just a wing and a prayer type thing. Because I thought it was a great idea to get kids outdoors, away from the videos, away from the Xboxes, and you know, start experiencing the outdoors. You know, we've kind of had that challenge in our society that kids don't get outdoors anymore. So, so I set about doing that. And interesting enough, at the time, I was on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters here in Rapid City. And so I first stop was I went to them and I said, does this make any sense to you? And they happened to have a gal there who was the match specialist, they call them, and she was a hunter. And she said, that's a great idea. I could support that, you know, because we're talking guns, kids, you know, and there's some resistance to that by some people. The next place I went to is to the Game Fish and Parks to see what they thought of it. And initially, they weren't too big on the idea. They taking these kids out and making a difference. Yeah, it's new. And then I went to Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and there was a guy there at the time who was in Rapid City named Larry Baszler, and he got really excited about it. He says, that's a great idea. I'll help you do this. So with that start, we started talking about possibilities and how we would do this. So away we went.
When I grew up, I was fortunate enough to have a dad that every Saturday morning in the fall took us hunting.
I as well. Yes, my father was an active hunter. That's how I got engaged.
But a lot of kids don't have that.
That's correct. So one of our immediate goals was we want to take kids into the outdoors hunting that otherwise would not have the opportunity to do that. We didn't want to take kids whose dads already hunted or they had opportunities, and we wanted to take the kids that had no opportunities. And so Big Brothers Big Sisters, you know, they mentor kids. Generally, a lot of them, like males, for instance, don't have a father figure in their life, and they don't have that opportunity. And they don't like to be calling them disadvantaged kids, but they have some advantages that are less than others, you know, because of their dynamic status in their family. So through that, we started putting together the program. And the first thing I did is I said, where am I going to get mentors? Because every child has to have a mentor, an adult mentor. That's an outdoors person generally. And so my activities with the conservation groups, this is really what they are, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, National Wild Turkey Federation, Safari Club International, Black Hills Sportsmen, South Dakota Bow Hunters. I don't know if I missed it. I went to all of them. And they thought it was a great idea. So the next thing I said, I want one person from your board on my board. Which was a really smart thing.
Well, yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because those people were already actively engaged and were doers.
Sure.
And so these people didn't sit around and wait for something to be done. Let's make this happen. So that group of people, which we're almost all still together today after 13 years, if you want to know, we started planning and how could we make this a reality for these kids? What was it going to take, you know, to get them in the outdoors? So from that early beginning, we wrote a manual of ideas and thoughts and what we had to do. We met with Big Brothers and said, what will we have to do with you people? We learned early on that it just wasn't enough to have the child engaged. We really needed their family as well. And we needed what they have at Big Brothers, which is a match specialist. So we recruited kids from Big Brothers, at that time YMCA, from Girls Club or Youth and Family Services, and then the Boys Club here in Rapid City. And the first year, I think we came up with about 25 kids. And then we went to the groups and said, okay, there's 11 of us. We each need to find one more mentor, so we have enough mentors for every kid. And so that's how we started.
Nice.
Yeah. And then today, as a comparison, last year I think we touched 104 kids. 80 kind of stabilized in the program, but through the nature of our children we work with, there's a lot of transient people. So they come and go oftentimes. We wish they wouldn't, but that's their family dynamic, so they do. But we touch a lot of kids.
Outstanding.
And we're still doing it 13 years later, and we've expanded to actually a chapter, I'll call it, in Spearfish, which has about 13, 14 kids, a chapter in Mitchell at the request of actually the Game Fish and Parks, and they have about 14, 15 kids there, and now we're looking at the Southern Hills.
Nice.
Put that together.
So with 13 years into the program, some of those first kids who were mentored are now adults.
And some of them are actually mentoring. We've had kids come back and they mentor. You know, they have to be 18 years old to mentor. And they're usually about 20, though, before 21, before they feel comfortable taking a child out. But, yeah, they've come back.
Show them how to hunt and do everything right and have a great time.
And we started out as a doe hunt, because a doe tag you can get for $5. And then we found local ranchers were very, very receptive to us bringing a child out that could shoot a doe, so they could have a quality hunt in really good places where there's lots of deer. It's a boy, you know, when you go out, you want to have the experience. You don't want to go out and not seeing anything. So we really had great opportunities for these kids to all harvest deer.
How about pheasants and waterfowl?
Well, we got into that then, see? We got into, we found out when you mentor a child like that, and you oftentimes become pretty attached to them, and the deer season has the limitation, so we said, what else can we do with these kids? So now we have pheasant hunts for them. We have a regular goose, couple goose guys that take these kids out as they want to go West River here, and they shoot a lot of geese. We've had them shoot elk. We've had them shoot antelope. You know, now the older, as they get older, and they're usually in the program 3 or 4 years, we'll try to get them a buck tag so they can harvest usually a management deer, but they get really engaged in the whole gamut of helping these kids and getting them out, and they become part of their family. They camp with them, they fish with them. We just mentor them full time. Quite a program.
So someone says, hey, I'd like to get involved. I'd like to mentor kids. How do they get in touch?
Well, the best way is called Big Brothers Big Sisters. Big Brothers Big Sisters, we actually pay for 2 match specialists that are on staff at their place, and their whole job is just to take care of our kids. Each match specialist can handle about 50, 55 kids, and so we're handling about 100 plus every year, so we had to have 2. So we have, it's one of our major expenses, because we can't expect them to do it for free for our kids, but it's a great service they provide us down there.
Outstanding. Black Hills TV has an appreciation for people in the community who have a heart for people, and so we appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I could give you some great experiences, boy. We've had really, really good luck with the kids. You know, and we've had some challenges with the kids too, but it's a great program. There's nothing like it in the nation. I've never seen another program that takes this many kids. And one of our success stories is the GFP, the Game Fish and Parks, has really stayed engaged. And 2 years ago, they came to us and offered to assist us financially with our match specialists because it's fairly expensive. And with that, they started closely watching the program and the participants in the program. And they come back last year and they said, this is amazing, but we can tell you that 46% of your kids went on to buy future hunting licenses. And they said, that's unbelievable that you have that kind of impact. Because he says, usually we get single digits in these one time, we're going to take them hunting this weekend, come together, you know, get 100 kids, and they do it one time.
Sure.
It doesn't work. It doesn't really bring hunters to the field. But our program, they said, wow, it's amazing, but it's really working.
Yeah. I know you were involved with building the Outdoor Campus West, too, and what a great facility.
Oh, that's a fabulous facility, inside and out. Yeah, it's a beautiful facility for kids. there again, get them off the Xboxes, teach them about nature. You know, they can go fishing there. They have all kinds of classes and retreats for them, and so it's really a neat little place. Beautiful.
Yeah, well, Jim, hey, thank you for joining us here on Black Hills TV.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for being interested in our program. It's really, we'll all look around, look at each other and say, this is amazing. It's how well it's worked and how it's continuing to work. So it's great. Thanks a lot.
South Dakota Youth Hunting Adventures.
Yes.
Very good.